All right, shalom, shalom. All right, before I get started, I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Wakakwarash. Double honors unto my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and safety to all the Siserakiam that's out here pushing this word in truth and in all sincerity. Shalom to you all. And shalom to the few sincere sisters that are out there as well. Shalom. All right, back at it again. It's going to be a real quick one. I briefly spoke on this last Saturday at camp. But I was honestly just speaking on it in the spirit, you know, just as a consumer in my own space. But I just heard literally just now on it sounds like Sean Hannity, if that's how you say his name. Hey, shalom, shalom, hey, how about Shimei, shalom. So I was listening to the, the local news, NPR, those talking heads, and an article which just came out, or is going around, I'll say, over the last several days, dealing with the subject matter of ground beef prices. Ground beef prices at an all-time high. And I didn't notice Saturday when I was speaking on it. I was just speaking on how outrageous ground beef prices are in comparison to when I was younger, 20 years ago, right? When I was starting college, ending high school, you starting to get your feet wet with grocery shopping. Man, ground beef used to be the cheapest thing you could get out of the meat section. Ground beef used to be damn near $1.99, 99 cents a pound. A pound. Now this is not according to this is statistically speaking, ground beef is basically $7 a pound across the country on average. All right. Yeah, see? $11 for, see? This is outrageous. Ground beef used to be the absolute cheapest thing you could get out of the grocery store as far as meats wise. Really, just ground meats. Okay, ground turkey. I'm not even gonna speak on the unclean ones, but you get my drift. Ground meats used to be the cheapest. But now, man, it's $8, $7, $8. And that's just basic ground beef. You try to get fancy and you want to go get some ground sirloin. You want a little bit less fat in it. Top round, chuck, these different cuts of beef that gets grounded. Then you're going to add more onto it. But ground beef, a good old fashioned 70-30, 60-70-30 is now damn near $7-8 a pound. And I said this Saturday at camp, how long do you think people are going to be able to maintain these prices? You got a family of 4, family of 5, growing boys, teenage boys. Hell, I could eat a pound of ground beef over 2 days. See, what was once cheap things, or what were once your friendly, easier on the pockets to buy things, are no longer that. I hit you with this. I was in a grocery store looking the other day at chicken thighs. Chicken thighs used to be another one. Stupid cheap. Tell me why chicken thighs are the same price as chicken wings and chicken breast. See? What the fuck is this? All right. A lot of you people are goofy, and that's why, like I said last Saturday, a lot of you people, you deserve to starve. Because this is not a deep conversation. I'm not breaking down the 12 feathers in 2nd Ezra, the 11th chapter. This is not a Daniel the 11th chapter breakdown lesson. This is literally talking about what the hell is happening in your grocery store and listening to the news. I literally just cut the news off, and I'm gonna do a lesson on that, and looked it up and took a screenshot of a picture. That's what I did here. This is on your news. But what you people are, you're stuck on stupid. You're stuck on folly, and you don't know no better. So you're going to be the ones, and you deserve it. You people that aren't paying attention, you deserve to starve when the time comes. You deserve to have to eat your children, eat your pets. That's what you deserve, because you're not paying the fuck attention. Because a lot of you are little boys, a lot of you are little girls, and you're too stupid and too afraid to make sense of what the hell is going on. The national price for ground beef has hit an all-time high. What is so complicated of understanding that? I'm not saying that in Hebrew. I'm not saying that in Greek. I'm saying that in English, in a simplistic way. Ground beef has hit an all-time high. See, all of that supply damaging to the supply, yeah, that's what they need. Exactly, y'all, you people, you deserve a 70 AD treatment. You deserve Trump besieging America and shutting down these stores. You deserve it. Then it'll be serious. Once your children are starving to death right in front of your eyes, then you're gonna reflect on, oh my God, this guy on the internet was telling us that ground beef is at an all-time high about a couple years ago. Food is out of control. I'm driving, but this is what we were going into Saturday, going into the fact of the black horse who had 2 scales in his hand, right? And the scales, and it was going into the fact that it was a penny or a day's wage for a measure of wheat and a measure of barley. How many days of wages do you think in ancient Rome did it take for you to get a portion of meat? How about some lamb? How many wages of work, days of wages, would it take for you to get some lamb or some chicken or some beef? Right? How about that? That's just wheat and barley. Oatmeal. You get what I'm saying? Oatmeal. Herbs was costing you a hell of money just to get. But that's what the black horse represents. And the black horse has been getting down. The black horse has been getting down in this place. Really, all this decade. All the 2020s. And the reason why I say that in the spirit is because, number one, you got to go back to during the pandemic. A lot of you people, you've already forgotten what happened. You forgot all the different events that occurred during that time period. The amount of cows that were being put to death. Whole flocks of cows were being put to death or dying. Being struck by lightning. Random things. Whole flocks dying. And also in the screenshot of this, the thumbnail, it tells you that supplies are at an all-time low. See, what a lot of you people should be doing is paying attention. But see, only men really pay attention. And what I mean by men, and this is my definition of a man, the only males that I consider men are serving Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. If you're a 45-year-old American male, you're a little boy at heart. You're still buying toys. You're still obsessed with sports and toys and girls. You're not a man. Men have to pay attention. All right? So going back to the pandemic, you had a lot of the supply chain was taking major hits. Okay? Beef, eggs, milk, cheese. Now, granted, when you dive deeper into, that's what I was wanting to say. Trump, aka, Nero the Great, he did all of these different tariffs, right? Hitting these different countries over the head with tariffs. Those tariffs led to the country, to 30 plus countries around the world to stop or minimize, if not completely stop, they minimized all their shipments to America. So that means 30 plus countries that were once shipping things to us have either minimized it or are not. That's what the tariffs have done. So that means we already, this is simple economics. Simple economics. Supply and demand. Okay? When the supply is high, and the demand is low, that creates a space, a voided space in between the supply and demand, creating a new market price. So I'll give you an example. Let's use shoes. Everybody can understand shoe talk, right? So let's take a pair of Jordans. This pair of Jordans is very popular. The supply is low, but the demand is high. What does that create? That creates that same space, that void of space between the supply and demand line, creating a new market price. So if those shoes, the demand for those shoes is high, but the supply is low, those shoes that may have cost you $100 might now cost you $300. Simple supply and demand. On the flip side, if the supply is high and the demand is low, you got to drop that price. That's why you have things go on sale. Okay? So with all of these tariffs, with all of these different policies that have been signed, it is affecting the overall supply and demand. All right? This is where the market gets weird. Because after a while, you're not going to demand these things anymore. You're not going to have the money to demand these things anymore. You're just not. Ground beef reaches $10 a pound. Most people aren't going to buy that shit. Most people will do what? Go buy ground turkey, right? Or just don't eat it at all. Fuck it. No, we don't need ground beef. You'll go get chicken. Fuck it. For that price, I might as well get chicken. I might as well get a steak. If I'm paying you $12 a pound, I might as well go get a sirloin. Right? That's how the mind works. That's how economy works. Ecclesiastes 12:1, where 12:1 on down, it speaks about what? Where the grinding is ceasing. That's where I was going to lead to my next point with beef, the supply of beef. This is all over this year of me just studying this subject matter as you people, as the brothers do. Beef. You learn that most of our beef, right, that we eat, you go to the grocery store, you go to the farmer's market, you go get you a cut of beef, right? Chances are that's not American beef that you're eating. All right? Most of our beef that we eat here in America actually comes from Australia. See, this whole recession slash tariff situations has done an amazing job for those that can see of exposing the trickery of this system. What I learned this year is a lot of the beef that you see around the country of America, Texas is what known for its beef. There's a lot of cows in Florida, right? Them cows, for them to be considered U.S. beef, they only got to be in America for like a couple weeks or something like that. So what happens is those cows get shipped over to Australia and other countries, and over there they're taking care of them. Over there they're fattening them up, and so on and so forth. And then they ship them back over here, right? And then that little bit of period of time is enough period of time for it to be like, oh, U.S. beef. And then you people say, America beef, yeah. This place is one big deception. Woe unto the bloody city that is filled with lies. All of this is a lie. All of it is a scam. All of it. Okay? And we're only speaking about beef right here. Okay? This society is crumbling fast. Revelation, like I said, Revelation 6, the black horse is getting down. All right? That black horse is getting down, and that red horse is about to really get down soon too, which is the devil. All right, and I ain't talking about the devil, you Christianity-based devil. I'm talking about the so-called white man who had a great sword and power to take peace from the earth. This devil's about to take all the peace off the earth. Okay? But what we're focusing in on here is the famine. We were talking about this yesterday as well. Not yesterday, I'm sorry, it's Monday. Saturday at camp. I've done lessons on this as well. Food insecurities. You should be very familiar with that term. If not, get familiar with it. Food insecurities. What is that? That is where most people, I can give you a number because we looked it up actually. Roughly 50 million people in America, if not more, suffer from food insecurities. Meaning that they really don't know where their next meal is coming from. Okay? Most people out here don't know where their next meal is coming from. Most children out here don't know where their next meal is coming from. That is why, and me and a brother we were speaking on, that is why school systems, if you got children of a school age, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this, that children in school systems, that like down here in Georgia, during the summertime, the schools stay open where you could take your kid up to the school and go get breakfast, lunch. You can go get, snacks, because most children only get square meals, solid meals is when they go to school. As I said, this world is in a very volatile situation. There's no telling what could happen. I don't know about y'all, but I think about this. If food prices went up another 50%, right? What does that mean? Let's just say it went from $2 to $3 on average on everything. Everything went up. It didn't double. Like 100%, right? If everything went up 100%, that's double. Okay? So let's just say, matter of fact, let's leave it at that. If everything doubled in prices, because you handle your grocery shopping, how much would that affect you and your family in shopping? If your grocery bill, everything you buy right now, double in price, how many people do you think could handle that? How many Americans do you think could handle their food prices doubling? Their grocery store price, their grocery store experience doubling in price? I don't believe many could. I don't believe most could. Man, listen, and I'm about to close up here, but I just turned 39 last month, right? And I moved here to Atlanta when I was like 19, right? So let's just say 20 years ago, right? And then I remember at the time, my mother would help me with groceries, right? She helped me get, if she wasn't living in Atlanta at the time, so if she came and visited me, it'd basically be like, she'd take me grocery shopping. So when I tell you, like, the cart, it'd be full. Not like ignorantly full, but it'd be full, That I remember the bill would only be like $150 for a cart. I'm talking about laundry detergent, so cleaning supplies, you name it. It was a $150 cart. But now we're at a point where $150 is only going to get you maybe 6 bags if you're lucky. 8 bags if you're lucky, depending on how you're shopping. So what do you think is going to happen if this food prices and everything doubled in prices again? Beef is already, like I said, ground beef is already at $7 a pound. You think people can handle it at $10 a pound? $14 a pound. Go, and I'm about to close up here, but I'm going to say this. The next time you go in a grocery store, I understand we all are always in that hurry up and get out spirit, which is fine. It's a time and a place for everything. But, oh, shit. Take your time and go through the grocery store and just eyeball things, okay? So with that, I want to close this up. I'm going to give all the glory and honor to you. How about you? Shalom.